What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show powered by BetUS. Today, your Portland Trailblazers blow a 22-point lead in Detroit and lose to the Detroit Pistons 118-115. Simons and Sharpe shine in this one, but the Blazers can't get the dub and fall to 12-23 on the season. And this game was a very entertaining game, very back and forth, close throughout it in the second half after the Pistons fought back from that 22-point deficit. The Blazers got off to a very hot shooting start, could not maintain it, and there were some situational coaching issues that we're going to get into on this one. We're also going to get into our latest big boards, our third edition of our big boards. And man, Eric, this was one of those games where it was like, wow, the Blazers look like they might control this one. They might blow out the Pistons at home. And this is a Pistons team that has been playing good. They're now 18-18 on the year. They look like one of those games where like, man, this team looks really good in the first half. This team looks like it might get back-to-back road wins before this 5-game road trip. They were 3-14 on the road. And then it's like, oh yeah, same old Blazers. Here they go. Yep. They remembered who they were. And they lose and they blow a huge lead and they situationally struggle late in the game. Like, yep, same old Portland Trailblazers. I started to think, man, maybe this team is turning the corner a little bit. I'm foolish, Eric. I'm foolish. Did you get that feeling at all throughout this game? And do you also agree that I'm foolish for starting to be like, yeah, man, this team is looking a little different because it's always the same crap with this Portland Trailblazer team?
Well, I actually thought the same thing. I was like, wow, are we going to have to start entertaining the idea that we are good enough if we play like this to be a play-in team? Not that our record would be that way because, we might have gotten ourselves in too big of a hole to make that a thing this season. But I don't think you're foolish because a lot of our mistakes, I think you can say if you had a better coach or better rotations or better situational awareness, like you said, I don't think they're that far off of being in that range, but I don't know, man. I don't think it's foolish just to say that, although it is foolish to say it, I guess, with Chauncey still at the helm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. This was kind of a prototypical Chauncey game, right? Just completely relying upon Anthony Simons down the stretch to make insanely difficult shots, and Ant was really good in this one. 14 for 21 from the field, 8 for 12 from 3, 9 assists, 36 points for Ant. I'm doing the player of the game poll. There's only one player that can even rival Ant, and that's because Shaedon Sharpe almost got a triple-double. But I say this is a prototypical Chauncey Billups game because Shaedon Sharpe played 43 minutes in regulation. 43 minutes.
And look how he disappeared towards the end of the game because he was obviously tired. He looked visibly tired at one point in the fourth quarter in this game. So
yeah, meanwhile, you have Avdija get 29 minutes. Chris Murray gets 27 minutes. And listen, Chris Murray played some good defense, had a good game. It's just funny, Eric, because we complain all season about Chauncey needs to sit the vets and play the young guys when they're playing well, down the stretch, right? And he just doesn't do it. He doesn't do it. Avdija has been like the best player for this team for a month and a half, but can't get in crunch time when Jeremy Grant's healthy, right, under Chauncey Billups. And we just have constantly complained about it. And then Chauncey today was like, oh, hey, guys, I'll play a young player over a veteran. I'll play a young player, a second-year player, over a veteran in crunch time to reward him playing well. And he plays Chris Murray over Deni Avdija until like a minute and a half left in the game. Mind you, Deni Avdija was a team-high +8, and the offense definitely looked and worked better with him in the game. And Deni Avdija was not bad by any means. He had 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 for 13 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. That includes like a really bad air ball at the very end that's going to leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It was a tough shot. He probably should have drove it. But he wasn't bad. He was not bad at all. But no, he's the one. He's the one who sits down the stretch. I thought that was kind of fascinating how, Deni all season long has not been able to get the benefit of the doubt and play ahead of a veteran in Jeremy Grant because, Deni Avdija has played better than Jeremy Grant for a month and a half. But the second Chris Murray does anything, the second Chris Murray has a decent game, Chris Murray gets rewarded over Denny. I just thought that was strange.
Yeah, it was kept looking at the timer in the bottom corner, just being like, okay, Chris is still in the game. He's still in the game. I guess we're gonna finish with him. Yeah, it was pretty crazy that he had that much faith in him. I mean, Chris played really well in this game.
Best game of the season for him, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it was well enough to play down the stretch. I don't get lining up the minutes the way Chauncey's doing to force these players to have to play heavy minutes and then to keep Chris in the game that long.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can reward him without rewarding him like that, you know?
You can reward him by not playing Sharpe 43 minutes. You can play Sharpe, 36, 37, where he's not going to be gassed at the end of a game. But, yeah, Chauncey's lineup decisions have always baffled me. And listen, it's not to say Chris Murray didn't play a great game. This was the best game of his season, so I kind of get it. It's just like, you never do this, Chauncey. You never, ever do this with Grant or with Aton, right? You never do this with those guys. So why do you do it now? Like, what changed? You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, it's just very strange. Like, you don't do this all season, and now you do it. I just thought that was kind of fascinating. So let me know how you feel about that decision down in the live chat. It's just like, wow, you finally do this, but of course it's Denny. That's the vet getting benched, you know?
Well, yeah, I think even more so than that, I think it was just the way we're playing in the fourth quarter, the way we tried to win this game. Like, if you're going to have Chris out there, that's one thing, but we needed to take advantage of all the attention Anthony was receiving. And outside of that one play from the sideline where we ran the pick and roll with everyone else cleared out to the other side, and Aiden got a dunk, they did absolutely nothing to get anyone else involved in this game, to get anyone an easy shot based off all the attention Anthony was getting. And I think that was my main takeaway in the fourth, is once again, it's just, oh, Anthony's cooking, just give him the ball and clear out and let's see what happens. And the Blazers still finished with 32 assists, their season high, which was amazing. They had 20 in the first half. The ball was moving really well in the first half, I think, by everyone. And I don't get, you had success, you built the 20-point lead with that ball movement, and then you just go right back to basically saying one man needs to save us, and I don't like that. Even though Anthony delivered tonight and almost won the game for us, I can't stand that. It took him shooting an insane percentage to even be like close enough to have a chance in this game.
Yeah, to be close at the end of a game that you led by 22. Right? Yeah. Like, I cannot understate enough how well this offense ran in the first half, how good this offense looked. And of course they were making shots, but yeah, the ball was moving, man. Like, players were moving, they were bringing the ball up quickly. Like, just everything we talk about this offense needing to do, you saw in the first half, and it just was even better because they made threes. That's why they put 60 points on the board, which is a lot for the Blazers. And then in the third quarter, they still scored 30. They gave up 37. That was the problem. They gave up 37. There were some turnover issues that led to some easy buckets for Detroit, but the defense got more physical in the third quarter. The refs in this game were calling some ticky-tack stuff in the first half, not really letting defenders be physical. In the second half, that went away. When the game gets more physical, that's when you have to actually move the ball more and move players more, because if you're dealing with a one-on-one defender and he's allowed to be physical with you, it's a lot harder to score, man. Like, you got to hit some difficult shots. And Anthony Simons did that in this game, but that was basically the offense, what it devolved into, what it dissolved into in the fourth quarter. It went from a 20-assist first half to Anthony Simons has to hit contested off-the-dribble jumpers, and if he doesn't, then we're stuck and we're not generating good shots. And it's like you got so much attention on this dude because he shot 8 for 12 from 3 in this game, and your best ball handling forward, you're not playing him. You're not playing him. Instead, you're playing Chris Murray, who made a couple threes in this game, which was cool, but he's not somebody that's going to really punish the attention that Anthony Simons draws like a Denny Avdia. So it's just the lack of structure, and you can even go to the very last sidelines out of bounds. So the Blazers did not have timeouts. They're down 3. They get the ball. Sharpe dribbles it up. It was out off Sharpe. Basically gets the ball stripped, and it went off of him. But the Blazers get lucky. They call it Blazer basketball. So the Blazers are inbounding with 5 or 6.
Detroit could have challenged, too.
They should have challenged. That was kind of a failure on their part. But, why not challenge there? It was very strange. But, the first part of this is the Blazers had no timeouts at the end of the game. How many times do we see the Blazers at the end of the game not have timeouts and not being able to advance the ball? Right? Detroit still had 1. Portland had none. So Chauncey did not manage his timeouts well enough, right? We just talked about the offense and how stagnant it got in the inability to use Anthony Simons to open up things for other players, right? And then at the very end, right, so this Shane Sharpe dribbles it out of bounds. It's still Blazer ball, luckily. 5 or 6 on the shot clock, or 5 or 6 on the game clock, and you run a sideline out of bounds set that just gets that ball into Ant at the top of the arc, and he's smothered, and he has nowhere to go, and he loses his dribble, and it's game over. And it's like, we do not see good situational sideline out of bounds plays from Chauncey Billups. It's been a thing over his entire tenure as coach, where if the Blazers are inbounding on the side, even if they have a timeout before to advance the ball, and they're inbounding from the side with 5 or 6 seconds left, most of the time it's just somebody runs and gets the ball and then tries to make something out of nothing, which is kind of the Chauncey offense in general, right? So that last sideline out of bounds play, Ant's going to beat himself up for losing the dribble, but it's like he was going nowhere anyway. He would have had to hit one of the most insanely difficult shots I've ever seen. And it's because you have nothing to call there. You have nothing to call there, which is just baffling to me, man. Like, you should have a sideline out of bounds set that everybody knows, right? That in that situation, you're ready to call it, right? And it's just, of course they don't. Of course they don't. So it's just some of the situational stuff that drives me crazy with Chauncey Billups, man. You got to have timeouts there so you can advance the ball. You got to be able to call a sideline out of bounds set instead of just somebody running to the ball and grabbing it and being smothered. It's just bad coaching. Oh, Eric's gone. Chat, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the coaching. Let me know what you think of that final couple possessions there. While Eric's gone, let me give props to Cade Cunningham, man. That dude is looking like a superstar right now. 32 points, 9 assists, 6 boards, couple of steals for him. He was great in this game. 4 for 10 from 3. Hit some big threes there to get the Pistons back in it. But, yeah, Eric, I mean, what do you think of the coaching late in this game?
I don't get the...
I agree.
Sorry,
I agree
everyone.
with that. Yep, well said.
My wife just got home, so the dog's going crazy. Anyways, so I get you're trying to set up a 2-for-1, but why waste your last timeout? Well, you shouldn't even get to the point where you only have one timeout with under a minute left, first of all. But second of all, why not just get it inbounded and up the court quick? Like, why do you have to call a timeout and set up a play? Like, we weren't running anything in particular anyway, like you mentioned. It was just going to be give Anthony the ball and hope he scores, right? So, like, why would we call a timeout to set up a 2-for-1? Because, I mean, Detroit got lucky that they stole the ball at the end because they were stupid for not fouling. Yeah. We had no timeouts. They could have just fouled, and we would have been stuck on their end having to get the ball up with a few seconds left. So I don't get why you wouldn't try to run a 2-for-1 by pushing the ball up and maybe getting some chaos. Like Sharpe, if he doesn't get the ball knocked away, I know, like you said, it went off him anyway, but if he gets past Cade there, like, he probably has an open 3 to tie the game. So Like, I don't like calling a timeout there, especially it being your last timeout. I would rather them just go quick that way.
What do you mean, that final possession where Sharpe got the ball hit out of bounds?
I'm saying, like, that almost, like, if he gets by Cade there, he has
but he had no chance
three.
of getting by Cade there. He had, like, barely any room on the sideline. It was, like, easy strip.
What I'm saying is, like, the one was off a free throw, though. Like, they could have... They had 37 seconds or something when they called the timeout for the 2-for-1. They could have gotten the ball up fast enough and gotten a shot off.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with them calling a timeout there. I didn't know if you're talking about that final possession.
I was saying, like, just that play, that the chaos play almost created an open shot for Sharpe if it was a little different. But, like, bringing the ball up a different way might have created that open shot too, you know. And instead we get Denny, who's been on the bench and comes back in and shoots along too, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Denny has to turn the ball downhill there, but obviously that set didn't work. I would have liked them to have brought the ball up quickly, especially because, you know, they're relying upon Ant to hit difficult shots anyway. He's probably going to get an easier shot bringing the ball up quickly than if you run a sideline out of bounds. And part of this is not trusting Chauncey to design a good sideline out of bounds set. Ant's the guy you want shooting that shot ultimately, and he doesn't touch the ball. You know, it's just weird stuff. It's always weird stuff in games like this where, yeah, you know, maybe they pull out a close win and we're not talking about this stuff as much, but every time the Blazers get a close loss, there's always multiple things you can point to and just wonder, like, why? Why did Chauncey do this? And one game here or there, sure, okay, you know, it's hindsight. But it's like this is always a common theme in every single close loss where it's always very specific things that Chauncey continuously struggles with in late game situations. So just a frustrating way to lose this game. But, I mean, it should have never been close in the first place. You have a 22-point lead. But that's another theme under Chauncey is his teams can't hang on to 22-point leads. They go away from what works for them, and they blow leads.
Playing fast worked, yeah. It worked in the first half, and then we slow it down and play right into their strength, yeah.
It's just like, it's a mentality thing to me. His teams, they get up big and they start playing like not to lose, right? Instead of continuing to be aggressive, continuing to try and build the lead, they start playing as if they have a 20-point lead. You don't want to play as if you have a 20-point lead. That's how you lose a 20-point lead. If you start being, you know, too patient, too slow, right? Maybe a little bit more ambitious with some shot selection because you're up 20 and you're feeling good, right? There's just a lot of ways you can blow a lead. And the thing is like every time the Blazers under Chauncey Billups build a 20-point lead, it's like they start to relax and they start to get sluggish and they start to, you can tell by the way the team's playing, yeah, they have a big lead. Because it will look completely different than the team that gets them that lead. And then they'll lose that lead. And then it's like you're hanging on for your life after blowing a big lead. Always been a theme under Chauncey Billups, man. And I don't know like what that says about him as a coach and just the mentality. It's just they soften up when they have some success, right? And it's a bigger thing than just one game to me. They bounced back from that, 41-point loss against the Grizzlies, and they win 3 in a row, right? They had a players-only meeting where they addressed the elephant in the room, and, right, they bounced back well. And it's like they needed to get their teeth knocked in at home against a super-depleted Grizzlies team in order to start playing better, right? It's like they need to get embarrassed in order to go on a good stretch, right? But then in like a game like this, they're up 22 and they relax. And they soften up mentally. And it's just the teeter-totter, man. It's the seesaw of this basketball team that drives me crazy just because there's no consistency. And we talk about how this team lacks an identity. And I feel like your consistency is even worse when you lack an identity because you can't fall back on, okay, this is what we do well. This is what we're going to do. The 20-point lead has gotten cut to 10. We're going to fall back on our identity, and we're going to fall back on, being really scrappy defensively. We're going to get some big steals, stretch this lead back out, right? Or, we run some really good offense. We're going to go to a couple of our bread and butter sets that we really need to get good looks out of right now. and we're going to do that, and we're going to knock down a couple shots and get the lead back up to 14. It's like once the avalanche starts, the Blazers seem to get rattled, and they have nothing to fall back on in terms of like, yeah, this is what we try and do well, right? I understand, obviously, it's not a good team, but I mean, last year, Blazer fans were saying, at least we're not Detroit. That's why you keep Grant and Aton. So it's just funny how that has played out, and it's just frustrating the way Chauncey Billups teams blow leads.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough on the road, young team, so I get it a little bit. I don't understand just the complete change of going away from what is working and how you can not take advantage of a player getting all the attention after he's making a bunch of shots. Like, you should be able to get such easy baskets for someone out of that if you just run a little bit of action. And instead, it's just like, okay, 1-4, and we'll just see if Anthony can make a play. Oh, he's dribbled for like 10 seconds. Let's bring a screen up for him. Like come on. Yeah. like run some sort of action that takes advantage of Anthony getting double teamed or whatever. As Mike says in chat, Eric, he doesn't know how to, and maybe that's true. Like, maybe he just doesn't understand that because that's not how it was for him when he played. Like, I don't understand how we can't see that though.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more of the problems, which is why you got to move on from him this offseason. And yeah, it's just not going to get better, man. It's not going to get better, right? And I'm done being, I'm not going to get fooled by Chauncey again, right? I'm not going to get fooled by Chauncey again. Even when things are going well in this first half, none of it's like, oh, Chauncey's figuring something out. No, he's not going to figure out anything, right? We've seen this for too long with not enough improvement for me to ever have faith in like, oh, he's going to figure this out or that out, right? He is what he is as a coach. No matter how well this team plays, like, to me, he is what he is as a head coach. And it's the same thing with like certain players, man. DeAndre Ayton had a pretty dang good game today. 18 points, 11 boards, 4 assists, only 1 turnover. Got himself a block. 9 for 16 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, right? Didn't get to the free throw line, so, maybe it wasn't the most efficient night, 18 points on 16 shots. But had a nice dunk rumbling down the lane, attacked the rim, right? And I started to feel like, man, it looks pretty decent right now. And then my second thought was like, oh, man, there's going to be some Blazer fans that pull the whole Phoenix Sun fan thing that they used to do with Ayton, where it's like, Ayton's starting to look good again. See, guys? DeAndre Ayton's a good player, man. Look at DeAndre Ayton. Look how well he's playing. And it's like, no, you know what DeAndre Ayton is. He can have some good performances. He can have some games like this tonight, but I mean, he was a -10. He didn't control the defensive glass well. The Pistons got 17 offensive rebounds. DeAndre Ayton was a non-factor on multiple offensive rebounds for the Pistons, where Ayton should have been in the mix trying to at least tip the ball away or grab the rebound, right? 18 points on 16 shots, like, not great. Had some nice passes in this one, you'd love to see that, and he looked pretty decent, but it's the lack of the little things for him, and it's also, I am not going to get excited. This dude could have like 3 straight 27-point games, and it's like, oh yeah, there's the hot streak for the year, there's the good play, right? It never lasts with him, and I just think the lack of consistency from this team is due in part to Chauncey and some of his issues, due in part to the mentality of maybe both Chauncey and this team. It's due in part to the lack of identity, and it's due in part to players like Ayton who bring it inconsistently. And on a night like tonight, we'll have some really good plays. But on another night, we'll be a complete non-factor, even though you're paying him a max. So that's why this team is inconsistent.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the defense was absolutely terrible in the second half. I think we gave up, 67 points between the two quarters, something like that. It was just brutally bad. Our rebounding, defensive rebounding, was really bad at times, leaving shooters open, not rotating properly, that kind of stuff. Doomed us in this game. Just overall not an extremely well-coached game, but it was a good portion of this game was fun to watch. Like, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And it left me wondering, because I could see it happening when he looked at like Sharpe's minutes in the third quarter, and I'm like, he's going to play over 40 this game. It's like, and we've talked about this numerous times. Your theory that he does better maybe when he's not tired, and like you could just see it coming that he was going to make it so this team was going to run out of gas in this game, and other than Anthony making a ton of insane shots, like we probably get blown out in the second half. And not only do we blow a 22-point lead, but we probably lose by 10 or 15. And I don't understand having to play that many minutes. I mean, we have guys like Repair, Delano Banton's not even playing right now. Like, I understand you might not want to play those guys just a few minutes or something. It's like you're maybe trying to be nice to them to not have to get in the game for like 2 minutes and then come back out again. But you can't worry about that stuff if you're in basically your final year as coach, hopefully. And I think, what did we play, like an 8-man rotation again tonight? Did we play 9 players?
but only 6 players played more than 20 minutes.
Right.
The 7th man was Scoot Henderson tonight. Okay, Scoot had a rough game. He had 4 turnovers. He was 0 for 2 from the field, 3 assists. Right, like this was one of his it was just a bad game. Now, he didn't have a terrible shooting night on like 12 attempts in 19 minutes like he might have last year. Like, he just didn't really shoot the ball at all, just seemed to not really have a feel for the game. Had a couple really nice passes, but you know, some of the turnovers that he has been cutting out of his game showed back up today. Like, okay, fine. But it's like, play him more than 19 minutes. Even if he's struggling, let him work through it. You don't need to baby him in order to play Sharpe 43 freaking minutes and run him out of gas at the end of a game. Mm-hmm. Right? So I just don't understand. It's like, I think the mindset's all wrong, right? It's all about player development. Okay? You want Sharpe to be fresh enough to have an impact late in a game to continue to get good crunch time reps. And Sharpe has done really good in crunch time, but when he plays 43 minutes, it's tough to have enough energy to make an impact in crunch time. So you're kind of killing that, and you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because on the other hand, instead of playing Scoot some of those minutes, keeping Sharpe's minutes low and letting Scoot try and work through his struggles, you're babying Scoot to the point where it's like, oh yeah, you're having a rough game, you're only playing 19 minutes. It doesn't matter that you had 3 good games before this in a row. Oh, that the second you start to struggle, your minutes are getting cut down. And we're playing this other dude an insane amount of minutes and running him out of gas. So it's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Like, your goal is to develop both Sharpe and Scoot. I think it's good for Sharpe to be fresh late in games, in close games, and it's good for Scoot to work through some of his struggles. So, and then you got Klingon, he plays 13 minutes. Those are the 7th and 8th man playing 19 and 13 minutes. And I know some people don't like when we sit here and complain about minutes, but it's like, you've seen Sharpe in the past where he'll have really good stretches, and because he's playing good, Chauncey will start playing him insane minutes, and then he struggles. Where it seems like the fatigue catches up to him. And people always say, oh, he's 19, he's 20, he's 21 years old. You know, he's so young. Like, it doesn't matter. Dude, you don't see players normally playing 43 minutes in regulation no matter how young or old they are, right? And you're playing against NBA athletes. It doesn't matter that he's 21. He's having to freaking guard Cade Cunningham on some possessions and switch off and like try and rebound against Jalen Duren, who's an athletic 7-footer. Like, you're playing in the NBA. It doesn't matter who you are. You're going to get gassed in 43 minutes. And it's just frustrating because Sharpe's played really well. And every time he plays really well, Chauncey has this notion to just run him into the ground.
And he was awesome in parts of this game. He was looking like the star we need him to be. And Yeah, I was really excited watching him play. Dude, he had 2 passes in the first quarter of this game that were like next level type passes to Aton inside, and those aren't just like we've been talking about this a lot with Anthony and Scoot. Those aren't like what you were talking about with Anthony type passes. Those were actual like read and lead the guy on and got Aton 2 baskets because of the nice pass he made. And so you're like watching that and you're like excited about it. And I think maybe Chauncey sees that too and then doesn't want to take him out. But it's like, come on, man. Like we want the guys to play and it's important, but we also, 36 minutes is plenty right now. Like, I don't think anyone should be playing over 36 minutes a game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So we'll see how Sharpe plays the next couple of games. But, like, if he comes out with his worst game in a while next game, man.
Sorry, our next 2 games are back-to-back, too, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. Listen, I'll feel pretty good if Shaedon Sharpe can come out in this back-to-back and continue to play like he did tonight.
Yeah.
Like, man, it doesn't matter that Chauncey played him 43 minutes. Like, look at it, he's still on a back-to-back plays well. Because in the past, every time this happens, Sharpe starts to struggle. And that's why it's frustrating. Every time it happens, Sharpe starts to struggle. Or else I wouldn't be as mad about it. I still don't like playing anyone 43 minutes in a game, though. And I don't like... I just don't like Baby and Scoot, man. I don't know if you want to touch upon him a little bit. I just let him work through his struggles. I think he's played well enough as of late to where if he has a 19-minute stretch where he like struggles, has, a couple nice passes or whatever, you just let him work through that. You give him the chance to respond to that. And it just felt like, especially in that second half, like Chauncey just didn't give him the chance.
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't have a good game, but this is what we need him to be able to try and work through it on the court. I don't think it does him any good to not play him either. Yeah. Like that's not he's not gonna learn from not playing. I wish they would just give him the minutes, but especially if you're only playing 8 people, I understand if you're fully healthy or something and you're trying to win a game maybe and he hasn't had the best game. He doesn't always have to play 30 minutes or whatever. But in a game like tonight where you're only playing 8 people and you're playing someone 43 minutes, and what did Simons end up with? Upper 30s?
I think it was like 35, 36.
Well, that wasn't as bad as I
thought it was, which is crazy.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes, we have Scoot on the team. He's not getting traded anytime soon. He's not going away. Like, we have to try and make it work. And I feel like giving up on him in a game isn't the best solution for it.
Yeah.
Now maybe he did. This is the part where people say, well, you don't know what happens. And that's true. Like, cause he could have done something wrong or made some sort of mistake that Chauncey didn't like and had told him not to do, and maybe like he was in the doghouse or something. But like, short of that, like I don't know like what the point is of not letting him work through some of this.
Yeah, see, I'm inclined not to believe that. I think it's crazy Aton played 36 minutes or whatever it was, because normally when Ant's playing this well, he'll see 40 minutes in a game like this, right? And the minutes breakdown to me is just like Chauncey trying desperately to win a game. But his way of really trying to win a game is just running guys into the ground where they're gassed at the end of a game. It's none of the stuff that got them the lead. It's not the style of basketball that got him the lead. Instead, Chauncey, that's what I mean by it's like Chauncey coaches like he's just like sitting on the couch. Where you do this stuff, you get this lead, then you stop doing it, you don't ever get back to it. Situationally, like, he struggles. We talked about that, and it's just like, oh, Sharpe's playing well. He's going to get 43 minutes. We're just going to keep playing him until the wheels fall off. We're just going to keep playing him until we win or lose. And just don't agree with that at all. And I don't agree with, Scoot struggles. He's going to hurt our chance to win this game. I'm going to limit his minutes in the second half and play Sharpe an insane amount. So, it's just more Chauncey stuff, man. It's more frustrating stuff. We'll definitely pay attention to Sharpe the next couple of games. And did this game worry you at all with Scoot? Because he played well leading up to this, but this kind of had some signs of some of his earlier struggles. Or is it just one game? Because of course, he's players are going to have bad games. So how do you view it?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, I'm trying to keep more of a bird's eye view on Scoot instead of nitpicking highs or lows or whatever. So I'm not going to get too high when he plays well because he's had good games in his career and he's had a few good games thrown together and he had recently. And he's had bad games like this too. So I'm not going to get too high or low with him. It's all about how he responds and learns from these type of games, and hopefully they become less and less as his career goes on. So I'm trying really hard to not read too much into it. I will say though that he's never going to be the type of player that does what Anthony did in this game, in terms of just taking over a game scoring wise like that. But he can be more effective if we're running an actual offense and he's controlling the game with his playmaking and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't really know. I thought he was one of our better defenders tonight too. And so I don't really get not at least forcing him to learn on the court versus off it.
Yeah, and with him, it's okay, your offense is struggling, right? Find a way to make an impact defensively, right? We want guys when, their shot's not falling or they make a couple mistakes on the offensive end, have a bad turnover. Go make up for it, right? I think the biggest thing that pisses me off with basketball players, man, and you can apply this to any level, you can apply this wherever, right? When you make a turnover, a bad pass, whatever it may be, and then you mope and you compound that problem by having a bad defensive possession down on the other end. Now all of a sudden your turnover, instead of just being one mistake, you turn it into two mistakes because you feel some type of way about it. You're holding your head and you maybe don't run back as hard and your guy outruns you and goes and gets a layup, right? My attitude playing, man, if I turn over the ball or if I have a bad play, I'll get a little bit mad at it, and then I channel that to okay, I'm gonna go get a freaking stop. Go compete then. Go compete on the other side of the floor because a stop makes up for a turnover. If you can go down and directly influence a defensive stop, that makes up for your freaking turnover. Go make up for it, right? And that's the thing with Scoot, man, is as a point guard that passes as much as he does, he's going to have some games where he has a bunch of turnovers, right? Now, you hope that on a season-long basis, on average, it's down, which this year it is compared to last year. But in those games where, maybe they're reading your passes well, playing the passing lanes well, or you just aren't completely locked in, you just don't have the feel for passing that you do most of the time, right? Where you're not seeing the floor 100%, which is going to happen, right? Okay, go make up for it. Go get some stops then, okay? You don't have it on one end, go do it on the other end. And that's where I think Scoot has had some good moments lately where he's had some good defensive possessions. He's still making mistakes here or there, but I really like the growth I've seen on that end. And he's going to have some games where he's not, making shots and has some turnovers. All right, go play some defense then. So I do like that about him in this game. And I do like that he seems to have that attitude.
Yep. Completely agree. And we've got to find a way for him to not let it affect him when he does have a turnover. So,
yeah, it applies to all players. Let's move on to the player of the game, which is Anthony Simons, of course, voted on the chat poll. I did the chat poll, but I knew what it was going to be. I mean, this dude dropped 36 points, 9 assists, couple boards, 14 for 21 from the field, 8 for 12 from 3. Super, super efficient. Stupidly efficient, I might say. He went stupid tonight, Eric. That's what the kids used to say. 5 good games in a row. Can we just, like, confidently say, like, all right, he's back? Or... like he's the Anthony Simons we saw last year. Like the start of the year definitely had some confidence issues. Like was mentally struggling with the game of basketball, and now that seems to be behind him because he definitely has his confidence back, and he looks like the guy we saw last year, which is somebody that makes insanely difficult shots, man, makes insanely difficult jumpers, and you gotta play out on him, and then he's able to kind of turn the corner, straight line drive, and get downhill, and is making good decisions out of the pick and roll right now, which, you know, really good offensive player right now. So 100%, right? He's back.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is just like some of the games he's had a hot shooting streak, and that's helped his stats out a lot. But I mean, you can tell he's a little bit like, I don't know, he's feeling more confident. Like he's not he doesn't seem as like, I don't know, like you could see the pressure getting to him earlier in the season. I don't feel it as much anymore. Maybe like talking about it helped a lot. That's maybe a good thing to promote, right? If you're him, that talking about your feelings is a good thing, right? And not holding them in and stuff. So but yeah, I mean, it's still until February 6th, a month from today, we're not going to know for sure how this is going to affect players like him and Jeremy and stuff like that. So it's good to see him have a good game. Also, I was wondering during this game if the Pistons asking price is being raised, if they're still interested in him. But it was a great game from him. He played like a star in this game on offense, at least. Defense was another story, but yeah, just good to see him actually take over a game and look like he was enjoying it. And then also, losing the ball at the end. I don't know if you were like, oh well, or did you find yourself wanting to win this game? Because you were talking last game about how you wanted you were kind of disappointed.
I wanted overtime.
Yeah, overtime. Okay, yeah, that would have been cool. Yeah, because he's been amazing in the clutch in the last couple of years. He's one of the best players in the clutch this season again, and so like. I mean, I'm not gonna get mad at him for losing the ball. If I was him, I would have been like, "Why aren't they fouling me too?" Like, I don't know. Like, you got to get a shot off, but yeah. So someone says you're way too negative tonight. Wow.
Who? Me?
You.
About
I don't
what?
know. What? I don't know.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, let me just say, people that say that, they focus too much on like emotions instead of like what the actual argument is.
right.
I'm sorry you emotionally feel some type of way about my basketball opinions, but feel free to tell me what you disagree with. All right, go on, Eric.
But yeah, I mean, he made a ton of big shots in this game. Completely took over. I like the 9 assists as well, especially in the first half. He had a nice push ahead pass to Denny, who had a mismatch down low, and yeah, so I like the way he played in this game on offense, and yeah, give me more of that if that's what it is. But I still wonder as these next 30 days come about how much it's going to affect this roster overall and guys like Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. Am I being trolled with that comment? Like
I don't
tonight?
know.
Tonight?
Well, it's like
what
someone
I
that
say?
doesn't normally comment, you know?
What I say tonight? Ant is 100% back. okay, and he's played great the last 5 games. Sharpe played great in this game. Chauncey's just running him into the ground. He played him 43 minutes. Scoot struggled today, but yeah, it's just one game, and I like that he's having good defensive possessions and like trying to make up for it on the other end. What, like, outside of my Chauncey criticism, I don't think I've been negative at all, man. This is light, okay? If you think I'm being too negative right now, this is light work, all right? Trust me. I can ramp it up a bit. Maybe now I'm motivated to, Eric. Maybe now I'm motivated to. What else can I criticize? That's what I'm gonna think about while you go on about Ant. I mean, terrific stuff though. Terrific stuff.
Well, we did have someone else in here, a different person, tell us we were tiresome earlier.
Drink an energy drink. I wish I had an energy drink sponsor to give you with our tiresome show so that you could feel less tired. Okay? I'm going to go work out after this. I bought a C4. You know, I wish I could ship that C4 to you so you weren't so tired. But I'm not tired, Eric.
I asked him what was tiresome, and he said just the overall negative vibe. It was an entertaining game, and we fed the tank.
Oh, God.
I mean,
you know what we should do for April Fools, because we have a post-game show on April Fools? I hope we get blown out, and then we can just give, like, our rendition of the cookie cutter, like, positivity, like, both teams played hard, guys, type of show for, like, 2 hours, and just try not to break character. That would be fun, man.
Actually, I could do that. That'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard it enough, you know, so I think we could do it.
Yeah. Well, you probably missed this in our show earlier today, Tori. There was someone in here saying that one of those cookie cutter people was on his radio show today saying that he doesn't expect the Blazers to be active at the deadline, and it's setting it up for people to expect them not to make moves. So.
Is that the guy that talks to people in the league, quote unquote, multiple times, quote unquote?
I mean, yeah, he does.
Yeah. So we've been saying that for how long? Even though we don't talk to people in the league at all, no sources. How long have we been saying that for, chat? So be prepared. We've been preparing you guys for 2 weeks, so I don't know what everybody else has been waiting on. We've been preparing you guys for it for 2 weeks because you can read the tea leaves. You can read what the tea leaves say. I bet Joe Cronin likes tea. And I bet his tea leaves are telling him to sit back and enjoy his tea and not do anything at the deadline.
Do you think he has, like, tea time just to, like, take a moment for himself, like, kind of, like, settle his chi and stuff every day?
Yeah. You know, which, listen, that's probably a good mental health practice, so I'm not hating on that at all, man. Just like, take a break from that and trade Grant and trade Aton and then drink all the tea you want, and I'll be happy. And I'll praise you for it. So, That's all I ask for.
Garrett says you guys are so negative about tea.
Man.
He's saying tea's good, right?
Well, I don't like the taste of tea. So, yeah, I'm negative on it.
I don't drink tea either, but just the whole...
What do you have in that cup?
Water.
Good job. Proud of you.
Yeah. I hate drinking water.
Is that a New Year's resolution to drink more water?
No, that's... Anytime you see me with a Blazers cup, it's like 99% of the time it's water.
Yeah. See, I got my water is 0 calorie Powerade, okay? Because the first ingredient is, let's see, water. So,
well, like, honestly, other than the gym and doing shows with you, Tori, I hardly ever drink water. So, like, those are the only 2 places. I drink so much water during those 2 things, but I don't drink water, like, outside of those 2 things at all.
Yeah, I need to start drinking water on my post-game shows just to set a good example, all right? Since I'm so negative, I need to start setting a better example, and I need to drink more water. All right?
Matt Cardell's New Year's resolution is to drink more whiskey.
Hey, man.
Good to go the other way, too, I guess.
Drink responsibly. But, yeah, the deadline is not shaping up to. The deadline is not shaping up in the Blazers' favor.
It could, though.
It could. Cronin waited too long. Cronin kicks the can down the road. The Blazers front office always kicks the can down the road. They did it with Dame. Now they're doing it with this rebuild that they can't actually fully commit to. And they're kicking that can down the road. Okay? Now, the defense will be nobody was willing to give up what the Blazers should get back for Jeremy Grant, so they're able to be patient. They don't have to trade Jeremy Grant. They don't have to trade DeAndre Ayton. Right? These guys set a great locker room example for the young players, and the Blazers have gotten better this year. They've made some strides. Their talent is better this year, right? They, at the end of the season, it'll be they won 27 games instead of 21. Look at that 6-win improvement. That's going to be the narrative, and that's going to be what people use to justify Joe Cronin if he sits on his ass again at this deadline, right? But this is Joe Cronin's doing by not trading Jeremy Grant last offseason. And this is Joe Cronin's doing by valuing DeAndre Ayton in the Dame trade. Now, his saving grace is Toumani Camara was a throw-in, and look how good he is, right? That's the saving grace. But this is why I was sitting here saying I would trade DeAndre Ayton for an expiring contract at last year's trade deadline just for the added flexibility and what that could potentially bring, instead of going forward with Ayton, and people thought I was crazy. And now it's just like, yeah, you got Robert Williams. Apparently they like him too. And you got Klingon. Yeah, probably don't need DeAndre Ayton making $35 million in a rebuild. But I was crazy when I said I would trade him for an expiring contract last deadline. So I am fully prepared for a deadline like last year, right? This would be 2 straight trade deadlines and 2 straight free agency periods where the best player that they trade for or bring back is Delano Banton, right? They got him last year. That was the only thing they did at the deadline last year. And then the best free agent they've signed the last 2 years is Moses Brown. That's like the only one they've signed the last 2 years. Basically, Joe Cronin has just been sitting on his ass for a while. Since the Dame trade, Joe Cronin has sat on his ass. He pulled the Denny trade. Okay, that's like the only thing he did other than just like sit there and draft Klingon at 7 and then trade second-round picks for cash and don't sign anyone, right? They can't sign anyone because they're up against the tax, and don't trade anyone away. Do something. I will blast. Okay, I'm not going to word it that way, all right? I will criticize him heavily if he does nothing at the trade deadline. You can't sit there. You can't just sit there and do nothing.
Also, I forgot this part. The reason he's going to do nothing is the new CBA makes it hard. What do you think of that, Tori? What's hilarious about that is, those of you that watch us for a while, we've been warning for 3 years now that you have to set up your salary cap to be better if you're going to go the rebuild route, that it's going to be problematic if you are up against the tax as a team as bad as the Blazers. Yeah. And so now you can't use that as an excuse when you're the one who created this cap situation.
Well, yeah. So this is from the same guy that's been saying that Jeremy Grant's contract is a positive value. The same guy that said Norman Powell's contract was a bad one, right? But this dude is saying Jeremy Grant's contract is a positive value, and the Blazers shouldn't move off their asking price at all. And now he's turning around and basically saying the new CBA makes it hard to trade Jeremy Grant's salary. He's contradicting himself again, and this is why he's full of shit. This is why I do not respect any of his takes. And this is why I continue to clown any of his takes. That's contradictory. That makes no sense. How can you have a positive contract that is too difficult to move under the new CBA? Then it's not a positive contract. Then it's not a good contract. Then the contract that Joe Cronin signed Jeremy Grant to was probably a mistake. So what? You're going to be stuck with this dude for 4 years? Because guess what? It's not going to get any easier to trade him. Yeah, the salary cap goes up, but he's going to get older and he's going to start declining. This is why I said they have to trade him at last year's deadline. This is why I was really mad when they kept him at last year's trade deadline. Because his if his play's not going to improve. He's past 30. His play is only going to decline. So his value on the trade market is only going to decline. And as you get more and more teams potentially in precarious situations due to the new CBA, it's going to be harder to find teams to trade him to. So, but apparently they weren't aggressive in trading or shopping Jeremy Grant at last year's deadline. That's what all the reports say. So it's just mismanaged. It's just terribly, terribly mismanaged. And it's extremely frustrating how if he sits here and does nothing, people are just going to say, yeah, it's just the new CBA makes it tough. Okay, yeah, it's not his fault. Even though he paid Jeremy Grant that contract. He gave him that contract. He valued DeAndre Ayton in the Dame trade. And now you're stuck with them, can't get rid of them, so you keep doing this 2 timelines, can't commit to the rebuild bull crap, and it's your own doing. There should be no excuse for Joe Cronin. And that is a terrible excuse for Joe Cronin. Because you should have had the foresight. It's just like everything Cronin does feels reactive. Everything feels like it doesn't have a plan behind it. And everything is lining up to kick the can down the road again. And people will buy it. And that drives me crazy.
He also waits for like the no-brainer type trades, that might not come. It's hard because see, one trade, whether it's Jeremy or Ayton, if you trade one of those guys for an expiring, even if you get no value out of it other than that, it does set yourself up to not have some of these issues in the future. But I don't think he wants to be the person who makes a trade like that looks bad just to set up a cap situation that he might not take advantage of anyway.
Yeah, because he's already done that. He's already done that. That was the Norm trade, right? He's not going to do that again. But the thing is like you shouldn't have had to do that in the Norm trade. Norm's contract was not that bad. It was you're trading him where he wants to go, right? And that's where it's like you couldn't get anything back for Norman Powell. Look how good he is right now. What makes me think you're going to be able to get anything back for Jeremy Grant? So, I mean, that's why for a couple weeks now I've said it feels like it's going to be a very inactive deadline. And I would love for that feeling to be wrong. You can come here and trash me like, Tori, you were wrong. Look, he pulled off a trade. Okay, great. Yay, I was wrong. I'm an idiot. Right? The thing is it's not being idiotic to say that it feels like an inactive trade deadline is coming because that's what the situation is implying, right? Like there is multiple reasons why I feel that way. And if he pulls a rabbit out of his hat, great. That doesn't mean these feelings were invalid or not based off something legitimate. Okay, so we'll see where he takes it, man. But there is absolutely no excuse to be inactive at the deadline. But the people that always defend him, that are cool with him, that Cronin has in his pocket, they'll find a way. They will find a way. Even if it completely contradicts anything they've said before, they will find a way.
Yeah.
I'm kind of, you know what? It's funny because people were saying, Tori, you're being too negative. But like this conversation actually pisses me off. Like it actually makes me mad.
Yeah. I just don't see. Here's the never-ending cycle, right? If that happens where he does nothing, we're going to be super negative about it. And then people would be like, oh, you're just negative, right? Yeah. But we've been telling you why it makes no sense for years. And yeah. So like, it's just like, we're telling you right now, it's a dumb thing to do. It's a dumb thing to sign Gary Payton II and get hard cap because you're doing it instead of someone that could actually help our team, like Isaiah Hartenstein or something like that. Like, and to not even look into his medicals before you sign him, or if you did know, like that's even worse. Like, or I don't know what's worse. They're both bad. Stuff like that. Like. The setting up the $60 million in cap space in 2021 or 2022 or whatever year that was. It's like no, they're not doing anything with that cap space. They're going to re-sign their own free agents and not have any cap space. No. So you got to realize that we're not just being negative to be negative. We are Blazer fans that want to see our team succeed, and we're watching the organization be run into the ground, and it's frustrating, man. And for anyone who thinks it's not, I mean, look at their record, look at their interest in the team. The last like 3 to 4 years just dwindle to very minute numbers. Like you can't dispute that it's been bad, and he could get lucky. He could find his way out of this. Sure, like he could pull off some good moves and end up being a good GM in the end. But up until now, he has done nothing but set himself up for these failures. Once again, that summer we had the third pick, not making a move to have some sort of dead weight expiring contract salary to trade that summer also was a bad move, because then it meant we had to include a player that was a starter or something in any trade just to have salary. And I don't know, like you can name numerous things. It's just frustrating, man.
I mean, there's numerous missteps along the way. And they deserve criticism. There's a comment in chat that says, at the end of the day, if teams won't pay up, just keep them. Grant's not hindering anyone's development. He might be helping, if anything. What do you mean? They've been playing their best player the past month and a half off the bench, limiting his minutes, and they just gave up 2 firsts for him because they have Jeremy Grant. What do you mean he's not in anyone's way? What do you mean he's not hindering anyone's development? Like, Denny Avdia should not be coming off the bench. He's been great, but Chauncey won't even let him finish games because they're playing Jeremy Grant. And the only reason why, to me, is because they're trying to showcase Jeremy Grant for a trade. Otherwise, it's like, what? Denny Avdia has been much better than Jeremy Grant this year, but Jeremy Grant still consistently plays ahead of him. So I don't understand the notion that like Grant is not blocking anybody. But also, it's a bigger conversation to the point of you want to establish an identity, and if that's like a gritty identity, if that's like a we're gonna be physical on the boards, we're going to rebound, we're going to consistently play hard, and we're going to move the ball. Jeremy Grant doesn't really fit in with that. He doesn't really help you make progress towards that identity like a Denny Avdia does. Denny Avdia fits that identity, and this team needs to find its identity. I don't think Jeremy Grant is helping this team find any sort of identity, and the Blazers are soft on the front line, and you're paying $65 million for 2 guys in a rebuild that aren't your future. So you're just stuck on 2 timelines. So, yeah, you move off from them. If teams don't pay up, then it's probably because Cronin paid Jeremy Grant too much. And it's like you're going into a rebuild. The whole point of re-signing Jeremy Grant was so you could ultimately trade him. So if it's not going to happen now, when is it going to happen? And what's the point? So it's just mismanaged. The follow-up comment says there are no teams that want these players that also have space to absorb their contracts without sending also bad players back. What do you mean? I don't care if we get a bad player back on an expiring contract. He's expiring. It's money off the books, right? So if you get back a first and a bad player on an expiring contract, let's just hypothetically throw Ben Simmons out there. You're not making that trade for Ben Simmons. You're making that trade for the first-round pick and to have flexibility going into the offseason because his money comes off the books. It's the one thing when we talk about trades is everybody always thinks when you get back an expiring contract like, okay, why would they want that player? What about that player? When you get back an expiring for Aton or Grant, it's not about that player. It's about whatever asset is attached, usually a first-round pick. So, cool, take back a bad player. It doesn't really matter. We're bad. What's a bad player going to do? Keep us bad? Like, if you bring in a player, if it's like a Gabe Vincent and a, let's just say like Rui and a pick, right? And you flip Rui for a couple seconds. Like, okay, Gabe Vincent sucks. I don't care. We got a first-round pick.
Yeah.
It's just short-sighted. Like, we're not going to win anything anytime soon. So who cares if we get somebody that's bad right now? The whole point is to try and get assets to get good players in the future. And good players for when this team ultimately will hopefully be competitive. That's not right now. So I just don't understand the short-sightedness of that argument, and I don't understand the short-sightedness that some people have in regards to trading Jeremy and Aton.
I have this is funny. I forgot who said it, but someone said he's setting it up so that when he does pull off a trade, it's be like, wow, Cronin managed to pull that off under this CBA.
I don't even think he's doing all that. I just think he wants to trade Aton. He wants to trade Grant. He's not getting much action there.
Yeah.
Especially on Aton. So, oh, you'll love this comment. You tank stands won't be happy until you've constructed a roster that can't win a single game. You see how miserable it is to be a Wizards or a Pistons fan? Are you dumb? The Pistons are 18-18. You're trolling me. I refuse to believe you're not trolling me. We just lost to the Pistons. What do you mean miserable to be a Pistons fan? They're at 500 with a brighter future than we seem to have right now. They got a budding superstar. All you people said, you don't want to be the Pistons last year. Now they're better than us, noticeably better than us. You have to be trolling. You have to be trolling.
Well, also, both Tori and I didn't want to rebuild. We wanted to win.
I mean, I don't even want to have that conversation. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, it's not like we chose this route. Like, we wanted to make a trade to win with Dame while he was here. We didn't want to have that come out the way it did. So,
brother, do you not realize the Pistons are 18-18? They're 18-18. We are 12-23. We just lost to them. We just blew a 22-point lead against them. You can no longer use the Pistons as thank goodness we're not the Pistons. It's better to be a Pistons right now. Everybody was worried about look at their massive losing streak. It's so miserable to be them. Now their fans are happier than ours. Now their future looks brighter than ours. That's the whole point. You take a step back to take 2 steps forward. But instead, all you focus on is the step back. And all you guys just want to suck. And that... There is a purpose. There's a reason, right? You trade away vets. You get picks. If you lose a few more games because of it, you're more likely to get a better draft pick and a better prospect for your future. Then you have all these future assets to trade for whatever when the time is right. I don't understand, bro.
So I'm also confused. If it is serious, are they saying that having Jeremy Grant means we aren't them, but we just beat Milwaukee in Milwaukee without them? I don't understand. It's not like we played terrible. This team's fun without Jeremy. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, there was a point this season. I forget the exact number, but it was something like we were 4-14 with Aton and 4-4 without him.
Yeah. Oh. This is a hilarious story. Sorry to interject. Donnie says the Pistons were miserable when they had, let's see, oh wow, Jeremy Grant.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, they got rid of him. Oh, look, they're ahead of us now. It's funny. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I mean, there's just multiple things to that is so funny to me, man. Yeah. Don't come here and say you tank stands. Bro, rebuilding is a process. I just want to rebuild properly.
Also, we're not
properly. It's not sitting here saying I want to go 0-82 because that would be fun because I love pain. Why do you you just stop trolling? Stop trolling. Get out of here, man. Thanks for the entertainment, but yeah.
Sean says you guys just want to be losers like OKC. Yeah. That'd be terrible right now. Why would we want to be like that?
Yeah, 3 years ago, people were mocking how bad OKC was. A couple years ago, they were mocking how bad Houston was. Last year, they were mocking how bad Detroit was. Now look at all these teams and where they're headed. Where are we headed? Mm-hmm. Where are we going? That's the point. What's the path? What's the multi-year plan, man? It's not all about this year. If it was about this year, then I would be even more miserable, right? It's all about the future. I just don't understand the mindset people have, dude. I freaking don't get it at all.
Sorry, what place did we finish in the West last year?
15th, right?
Yeah, 15th. Or tied for 15th, maybe. But 15th, yeah. What place are we in right now?
I think we're 13th. Because the Pelicans 13th. Got nuked by injuries and the Jazz suck.
Yeah. So 13th. Okay. Yeah, we did lose by 40-something to the Jazz one of the games. But
you know what the funny part is? We are the second worst team in adjusted net rating, which takes into account Points per 100 possessions adjusted for your strength of schedule. Okay. We're the second worst team. Basically, we've gotten lucky and barely won a ton of really close games, and then we've gotten destroyed consistently when we lose.
So, my question is, like, for the people who say we can't be bad or whatever, like, do you not realize we are bad? Like, keeping these guys doesn't mean we're going to make the playoffs or something. So, like, I don't understand why someone would criticize us for being upset that we're too good but not good enough. Like, you don't want to get stuck in that range. Like, you want, like, maybe we'll get lucky like Atlanta did last year and move up, even if we're later in the lottery. But, like, you can't count on that. If it happens, that's more just you got insanely lucky, not necessarily you earned it or something. But, like, they have some pieces. They just we're not like, we want this rebuild to work. Like, we want it to come to fruition, like all these years of pain, to have the good years that come with it. That's what we're hoping for. So, like, but there's certain things they could do, like not trading Jeremy, that make it, in my opinion, harder to eventually get there. So, like, I don't know what you want from us.
Yeah, no, Garben figured it out.
Riley Davidson, yeah.
Yeah, good job, Garben. Yeah, I mean, he's trolling, but there's people that think like that, so we'll still respond to it, because there's people that legitimately think like this, man. It drives me insane. Like this last comment, and people will talk about this in regard to Jeremy Grant as another justification for not trading him. The comment says, also worth noting that Jeremy Grant is a great guy to have in the locker room. I've never heard anything bad about his character, and I've only heard that he is a fundamentally good and decent human being. Cool, great, man. Great. Yay. So when we don't win anything the next 10 years, at least we can, hold hands in the locker room and sing Kumbaya together, because we got some good guys in there.
He's a great guy, yes. So
yeah, he's a great guy. You know how many Blazer fans are great people? Great guys, too, that deserve to see their team win? A ton of them. Okay?
We've had a lot over the years recently, yeah.
Yeah, so what about, like, oh, no, you just can't trade Jeremy, great guy. Really? This is a business, man. This is a business. Jeremy would be fine getting traded elsewhere, too. Like, I don't think you realize that Jeremy doesn't really mind being traded to the Lakers or traded to a team where he can play competitive basketball and continue to get paid. Right? I think some people are under the pressure, like, Jeremy really, really wants to be in Portland and nowhere else. It's not true. Trade him somewhere he's happy, and then we can be happy with, hopefully, a first-round pick for him. Great. Win-win.
I've said this multiple times. I will always respect Jeremy for being the one guy who actually wanted to come and play here in Portland with Dame. Will always have a special place in my Blazer lore for that, but that doesn't mean we have to keep him on the roster like he's our oldest player. And I'd much rather watch Tamani and Denny right now, like they did tonight. Yeah. And I'd rather watch Chris play than Jeremy right now. It's not a knock on Jeremy. It's just like, I'd rather it be because we're at least trying to develop people rather than just whatever,
Yeah. Yep. Let's continue to recap this game. Let's take a look at the team stats. Blazers shoot the lights out, man, but only get to the line 5 times, which is fascinating because they got 50 paint points and only shoot 5 free throws compared to the Pistons' 22 free throw attempts, right? Free throws are the most efficient thing to have happen in basketball. If you can get to the line and you shoot like 80%, right, that's 1.6 points per possession, equal to a 160 offensive rating. Like, that's an efficient play. That's why I like using true shooting percentage as a side note. But the Blazers don't get to the line, and the Blazers don't rebound. That's how they lost. because they shot the ball amazing. It's kind of fascinating. I would never think this Blazer team could shoot this well and lose to a play-in team. And I said that as a compliment to the Pistons, right? You don't want to be the Pistons. Well, they look like a play-in team right now. They took a step forward, right? And they did it the right way. They didn't do it by, valuing vets over their youth. So
I mean, they did sign Tobias and.
Yeah, but who's he playing ahead of that should be playing more minutes? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I can't name a guy, so he fits in a rebuild, right? Like if Jeremy wasn't playing ahead of anyone, sure, but like they signed Tobias, and I think they're probably hoping that they can maybe flip him at the deadline and get an asset for him if he plays well enough, right? Like that's what the Blazers should be doing. They should clear their books, use the cap space to accumulate assets by taking on salary, or signing veteran role player free agents, maybe paying them a little bit more onto a short-term deal that's not negative because of a short-term deal, and then trying to flip them. Because if you can flip them for a first of the deadline, you basically use your cap space to sign a guy and get a first-round pick for it. So that's a win. You manufacture an asset out of essentially nothing. Instead, you're tied up. Right? So, but, you got to rebound. That's also the problem with Jeremy and Aton. They don't control the defensive glass well. The Blazers are one of the worst defensive rebounding teams in the league. And, of course, you didn't have Jeremy in this game, but Aton did not do a good job on the defensive glass at all. He's just not physical. Jeremy is not physical. They're soft physically in terms of the way they, contact inside. They're power forward and center duo that don't seem to embrace physicality. They don't mix it up battling for rebounds. I have a problem with that, especially when you're paying those guys so much freaking money, especially when it's like, oh yeah, their best value is what they bring offensively, but this team is one of the worst offenses with them the last couple of years. And Jeremy hasn't really been much of a positive there. So the Blazers have to become a better rebounding team. They just get pushed around on the glass too much. And yeah, it's that and the free throws.
Mm-hmm.
The assist number, beautiful. The three-point shooting number, beautiful. The field goal percentage, beautiful. They even got 19 fast break points. I think last game, or was it the game before, they had 6. So, yay, you ran the floor a little bit. Cool. But look at that lead at the very bottom. 22-point lead against the Pistons. The Blazers blew tonight.
Yeah, not good.
But be positive, Tori. We don't want to be like the Pistons. They suck, but we blew a 22-point lead to them. But find a way to be positive about it. Okay. You know what this is good for, Eric? You know what this is good for? Blowing this 22-point lead, all right? Here's some positivity for you. Blowing this 22-point lead is really good for Tankathon. Really good for the tank. Oh, you're just a tank stand, Tori. Dang, I can't do anything right.
No.
But, yeah, we gained a game on Utah. Utah's won 2 in a row.
Nice.
New Orleans has won 2 in a row, Eric.
Nice.
Yeah, so, we're 5.5 back in New Orleans, but if they get healthier, maybe we can catch them. Okay, we are 2.5 back at Utah. Keep losing. All right. I'm kind of to that point now, Eric, where I want these young players to play really, really well and lose close games. But I will always still criticize incompetency from the coaching staff. Always. No matter if we're tanking or not. Charlotte lost 10 straight. They suck. Toronto was healthy tonight and got the doors blown off by Milwaukee, who Eric's been saying, I won't trust them to blow out a team. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to take Toronto with you in picks against the spread. And then, yeah.
They finally do. So shout out to Milwaukee. You don't want to see if you haven't looked at the other scores.
What, San Antonio? I saw.
Yeah.
The Clippers backdoor covered, though, for me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing terribly, I don't think.
That's good.
I might be one game below 500. We'll see how Miami does. Is Miami getting blown out? I don't know. Anyway.
They were up 5 at the end of the first quarter. I haven't checked since.
Yeah, I might be. Because Portland.
They're down 3 right now.
If Ant didn't hit that last 3, man, Detroit could have covered. So I got Miami, I got the Clippers, I got Indiana, and I got Memphis.
Nice.
If Miami wins. So that would be 4 and I got Phoenix, so that would be 5 and 5. I'd take 5 and 5. I've been struggling, so anyway. Phoenix won today. What's up?
I really need the Kings to get my double down.
Yeah, hopefully they don't. Hopefully they sell for you.
I'm doing terrible, so
good. Get you out of first. Trevor's probably in first now. Philadelphia lost to Phoenix today, so Phoenix gained a game there. I mean, I don't think Portland's going to... I just don't think any of these teams Portland's going to end up in a conversation with at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of the clear-cut bottom 7, these 7 teams. And I would be surprised to see any of these other teams enter that conversation. I think at the end of the year, these are the 7 teams you'll see in the bottom 7. It's just, can they move up higher? Can they pass Utah? Can they pass New Orleans? Can they pass Toronto? I'm starting to lose faith in Toronto. I have no faith in Charlotte. I kind of feel like Washington, Charlotte, Toronto are going to be the top 3 teams, and then you're just hoping you can pass Washington and Utah. Or not Washington, New Orleans and Utah.
Yeah.
We'll simulate it. Hopefully we get lucky. Look at OKC, 115 in a row. Could you imagine that?
Without Chetson.
I know. Yeah. What are you supposed to do when you have injured players, Eric?
Yeah.
At 14, Utah via Minnesota. At 13, San Antonio. At 12 is San Antonio via Atlanta. At 11 is Sacramento. At 10 is Chicago. At 9 is the Brooklyn Nets.
So Houston via Phoenix moves up, and Philadelphia for the second stream in a row, I think, moves up.
Yep. So now Portland's supposed to be at 8. It's probably Portland at 8. At 8 is your Portland Trailblazers. At 7 is Toronto. At 6 is Charlotte. And at 5 is New Orleans. Hey, thank goodness we had Jeremy Grant so that we could get the 8th pick instead of a top 4 pick, Eric. Now we get Con Knipple instead of Dylan Harper. I don't even know who would be there at 8. We're going to talk about our big boards in a second. At 4 is Utah. At 3 is Washington. Wow, of course, like Houston via Phoenix can get into the top 2, but we can't. At 2 is Houston via Phoenix, and at 1 is Philadelphia. So Philadelphia takes flag. Houston, Dylan Harper is like perfect for them, I feel like. Another lefty, big lefty guard there in Houston. Star, big lefty guard. And then Washington takes Ace Bailey. I actually would like Ace Bailey's fit in there. And I would actually like Yakuchonis in Utah next to Keontae George. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, I like the way the top 4 shakes out for player fits there. And then the draft starts at 5. Anyway, that's Tankathon. We are not getting lucky. We are not getting top 2 picks, Eric. Hopefully that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Or hopefully we can freaking move up.
Yeah. We need a top 3 pick. Come on.
Yep. Anyway, before you jump into our big boards, leave a like on the stream. It's the easiest way to support the channel. Also, you can support the channel by donating. We read off all donation messages, and those are greatly appreciated. You can also click the join button and become a channel member. The join button should be below the video. You get access to like special emojis in chat, amongst other things. Anything else we didn't talk about in this game? I feel like Tamani played a really good game and we didn't talk about it yet. He had some really nice finishes, some nice offensive moments in the first half. His offense has
Good cut for a dunk.
Yeah, his offense has been nice to watch. We talk all the time about the defensive stuff. Had 3 steals. Excuse me. 3 steals and a block in this game, 12 points in his 36 minutes, so he was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Klingon, thoughts on him? Is it just still like he doesn't look 100%, which I would agree with?
Yeah, he's just. I think he's having. I don't know if it's because of the injury or what, but he just like he seems unsure about going after the ball. Like he's fumbling the ball a lot. Just just seems really unsure of himself out there, and that's something he wasn't showing a lot of earlier in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then I don't know. That's pretty much it. I'm ready to jump into big boards if you
Yes.
want to.
Yes.
I think still just top 30 is
Yeah.
where I'm at right now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
All right. I'm just moving some
Oh,
stuff around because it didn't update the way I wanted it to. I didn't save it apparently.
wow, sorry.
Yeah, I'm happy with this. Okay. You want to do? We both say our top five, then we talk about some of the players. I think that worked well last time.
Yeah. Just for the record, I mean, there were some changes, but not a lot of like huge, like, wow, this guy jumped way up like last time. For me, at least.
Yeah, I have a couple.
All right.
I have a couple guys that I'm there with.
Yeah.
All right. So top five. You can go first.
All right. I think for me, there's obviously the top two, Cooper Flag and Dylan Harper. And then Ace Bailey in my mind is clearly three. I don't think there's any argument that those are the top three players. Like I don't think anyone um as good as Yaku Chonis has been. Like I don't think he enters the tier with any of those three guys. And I almost think Ace is kind of being a little underrated now. But I was watching the Duke game yesterday, or was that Saturday? I think it was Saturday um, when they played SMU. And man, Cooper Flag is so good. I like every time I want to put Dylan Harper, like start to consider that Dylan Harper should be above him. I like Cooper's the real deal, and so he's clearly my number one. Dylan's clearly my number two, and Ace is clearly my number three. And then I got Yaku Chonis four and Jeremiah Fears five.
Alrighty, so I have the same top four. I have Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, Yaku Chonis. I have Derek Queen at five.
Nice, moved him all the way up, huh?
Yep, I have Derek Queen at five. And I don't remember who I had at five before. I like his traits in a big man. I think he has upside. I have some concerns with him. I think it's a clear drop off. I think Cooper Flag is starting to separate himself a bit. He's looked better lately in terms of some of his shot making, and yeah, he's just legit. So I think there's clear separation between 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is kind of strange, but I feel like there's a good chance this is my top four at the end of the year, and I have no idea who's going to be at five. I have a feeling it's going to be Cooper Flag, a little bit of a drop off Dylan Harper, a little bit of a drop off Ace Bailey, a little bit of a drop off Yaku Chonis. You could talk me into putting Yaku Chonis above Ace Bailey, just in terms of Yaku Chonis's creation and potential to be like a lead guard, right? I think Ace Bailey has a ton of upside as a difficult shot maker at 6'10", but Yaku Chonis, has the pure creation traits, ball handling, shiftiness, creative, can make plays for others, crafty off the bounce. So it just depends on which one you value more. And then the tiebreaker, I think, would be Ace Bailey's defense is probably going to be much more impactful than Yaku Chonis's. So that's how I view that debate. But yeah, that's my top five. I got Derek Queen at 5. I've talked about him quite a bit. We don't have to go in depth there again, but I just think, if you're gonna find, if there's the next Şengün or somebody like that in this draft, I think it's Derek Queen. Just super skilled, really good footwork. If he can develop a 3, he'll be able to knock that down, then attack closeouts, and he can pass, makes quick reads. Like, he just has a lot of really intriguing traits for a big, even though he's a little undersized at the center spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
All right. Your 6 through, or I'll go through my 6 through 10, and then you can go through yours.
Sounds good.
All right. So at 6, I have Jeremiah Fears. At 7, I have Boogie Fland. At 8, I have Cam Jones. At 9, I have Asa Newell. And at 10, I have Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson has fallen for me. Who's your 6 through 10?
All right, my 6 through 10, I actually have Trey Johnson 6, Boogie Fland 7, Yegor Demon 8, VJ Edgecombe 9, and Derek Queen 10.
Alrighty, so Queen's fallen for you slightly, I think?
No, it's right around the range.
Yeah. Trey Johnson's fallen for me just because he doesn't get to the rim, and I know Ace Bailey has those same struggles, but he's 6'10", whereas Trey Johnson just he's a good jump shooter. There's the worry for me that maybe he's overachieved as a shooter this year, right? Like he's definitely going to be able to come into the league and make jump shots, but it's just is he really going to be like a high volume 3-point shooter shooting 41% from 3? Because if not, some of the inability to get downhill on defenders and get to the rim worries me a little bit. And statistically, similar prospects have struggled coming into the league if they're too jumper reliant. So that's just my worry with Trey Johnson, is just he's too jumper reliant. But also with something like that, it could always be, he doesn't play with great spacing, so he shoots a lot of pull-up jumpers instead of getting downhill. That's a problem for some guys in college as well. So
much like Ace Bailey, though, shooting great on those pull-up jumpers. Like he's making them. Also, it's around an 84% free throw shooter. So that leads me to believe that maybe his shooting isn't.
Yeah, I think it's
as bad as this. But I mean, plus 40% 3-point shooter on good volume. Averaging 20 points per game as a freshman. Over 2 assists a game, which I think is good in college for not like your main primary point guard. So, I really like him overall, and me, I don't get as concerned about getting to the rim if you can shoot the ball as you do, I guess.
I mean, it's just if you're gonna have legit upside, you got to be able to get downhill. You got to be able to get to the rim. So, yeah, that's just where I'm not as bullish on his upside as like a Fears or even a Cam Jones, just because I view those guys as potential 3-level scorers, and I trust their ability to get downhill more, and I also trust Cam Jones' passing more than a Trey Johnson coming into the league. But Cam Jones is just a lot older. Cam Jones, I have a good gut feeling about, man. We'll see how right that is. But you bumped up Boogie Fland, I believe.
Yeah, just
where do you have him?
I have him 7th.
Okay.
I see. It was tough for me because I still really like Demon and Edgecombe's profiles, and that's why they're still up there. But I just couldn't justify Boogie being below those guys with how he's produced compared to those guys not shooting the ball well lately.
Yeah. All right. Any other players?
I do want to say one more thing about Demon. The reason why he hasn't dropped. Did you have him in your top 10 still, or did he drop out of your top 10?
He dropped out of my top 10.
Okay. I saw some defensive analytics that posted him as one of the better defending guards in the country as a freshman, or for freshmen. Yeah. And that made me pause on maybe not, because I didn't really, I don't know. I'm unsure about his defense overall. So like just seeing some analytics made me maybe give him a little bit of a break, and maybe just I still like his size and his playmaking ability and all that kind of stuff. So even though his shot has been terrible as he's uh, reached better competition, um, I still think he can figure it out, and he's still young enough to do so.
Yeah, I need to see an uptick in play against Big 12
Yeah,
opponents.
right.
And then I need to see it with the eye test.
Yeah,
And does his defense translate up? Like, because he just seems like a guy that, with his size, he's fluid enough to be really disruptive at a college level. But in the NBA, like, he might not be quick enough to guard guards or strong enough to guard forwards.
mm-hmm.
So, I'm unsure as to how his defense translates to the next level. All right, you want to start with 11 to 15?
Yeah. So at 11, Fanspo stops being ridiculous. I still have Nolan Traore up there. I mean, we talked about it in the past. Ben Saraf, 12, Asian Newell, 13, Cam Jones, 14, and Joson Sanan at 15.
Alrighty, 11 I have Kamal Maluak, 12 I have Yegor Demon, 13 I have Liam McNeely, 14 I have LeBaron Philon, and 15 I have VJ Edgecombe.
All right.
So
So Phylon's new, right?
Philon's new. He had a good game recently against Oklahoma. So plays really good defense. Probably 6'3", but can pass the ball well enough where I could see him being potentially a point guard. For me, though, it was like, why necessarily is VJ Edgecombe higher than him? Because Philon's like really good defensively. I think can do a little bit more with the ball. He's similarly struggling from threes, 28%, but he's 53% from the field. He shoots 6-2s a game at 67%. So like has dribble drive game. He's a little shifty too. And it's just like when you look at their college performances, like he's performed better as kind of the same archetype as Edgecombe. He's not the athlete that Edgecombe is, so that's where Edgecombe has the edge. No pun intended. But
Or intent.
he's producing for a team that went to the Final Four last year and is one of the best teams in the country right now and is a big part of that team as a freshman.
Yeah. It's funny, they both have the same exact free throw percentage at 70.3%, which is a concern, I think.
Yeah. I just think
for both of them.
I just think right now it seems like Edgecombe might be a little bit more jumper reliant despite being the better athlete. Like Philon just does more off the dribble.
Yeah.
Not much more. So I just had them back to back because I think those are two interesting guys you can compare, with one being slept on and one having a lot of hype coming into the year. I have a bad, I have a good gut feeling with Cam Jones. I have a similar bad gut feeling with VJ Edgecombe.
Okay.
But also, I don't know. I could also see him being really, really good if he can figure anything out offensively, just because his defense and athleticism is top tier.
Yeah.
I just want to see him improve. Like, if he improves in Big 12 play, I can feel comfortable putting him back in the top 10. It's just, he hasn't played any better. Like, he's just been consistently pretty bad offensively all year long, so. And then, I feel like we don't have to talk about, Demon any further. We don't have to talk about Maluach, just 7'2", like, might be able to shoot a 3 one day, but just is going to be your prototypical, like, rim protecting, rim running center. McNeely, shooter, crafty. I like him more than Knipple right now. I feel like those two guys should get compared just because they have some similar traits as shooters. 6'7", can do a little bit off the dribble, pass a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just would prefer McNeely right now. So that's my 11 to 15. Any players in yours that you want to talk about?
No, still like the big point guard, so that's why I have Sharaf still up there. Traore. Um, Asia Knowles continued to be solid. And then we've talked a lot about Cam Jones. Sanan, I'm gonna have up there until his 3 point falls below what, like 48% or whatever it is. So
Yeah.
I just like him as a shooter.
Are you worried that his free throw percentage is worse than Edgecombe's and Phylon's?
Yes, I that does worry me, but it's if I let me look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's like a really low amount, right?
It's two. I'm not gonna say that number. Never mind.
2.2 a game. Yeah. I mean, shooting 69%.
Yeah. So funny. Funny numbers.
Yeah,
He
I read
just.
it.
Yeah, is he like much more than a 3 point shooter? Is kind of my question.
Yeah, I don't know. Because every time I watch Arizona State, I'm just so fascinated by what's his name, the center. Why am I
Yeah.
blanking on his name?
I'm blanking on the name too. Yeah.
Uh, he's not eligible for the draft this
Oh,
year, but
acquaintance.
Quaintance, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. Thank you, whoever came up with that.
Yeah.
Or if you did.
Yeah. No, you just said not eligible for the draft.
But yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. McNeely's 3 point percentage is up to 38%. He's also shooting 85% from the line. So like if I'm looking for a shooter, I would prefer his shooting at like 6'7", able to slide up forward spots, and he's just doing a little more off the dribble. So that's why I prefer a McNeely there. But
Yeah.
all right. So 16 to 20. 16. This is kind of my This is kind of my boring range. 16, I have Hugo Gonzalez. 17, I have Noah Sangue. 18, I have Con Knipple. 19, I have Colin Murray Boyles. And 20, I have Nolan Traore. And this is kind of my tier of like Knipple's fallen for me just because his 3 point shot has not really translated the way I thought it would. I give him a little bit of leeway there at the start of the year, but he's still 34%. Funny enough, he's 96% from the free throw line, 1.8 attempts a game. I have a feeling Knipple will shoot better and play better and will rise back up into the lottery for me, but I just have to reflect kind of where he's at right now. Colin Murray Boyles, don't really know how his game translates, and then Nolan Traore's slipped. But this is just kind of a tier for me of guys where it's like I don't really know who else to put here yet. So
Yeah, exactly. Agree with that. So I have Asengu 16, Colin Murray Boyle 17. I have Maluak 18. Still have Hugo Gonzalez up there at 19 and Will Riley at 20 still.
I have Will Riley 21.
Yeah,
I'm souring on him.
Yeah, it's one of those guys. I just
He
don't
feels so
put him
Keyshawn George-esque, doesn't he?
I mean, that's good in my mind, though.
Yeah, but just like where he'll just disappear and like
Yeah,
can do a little bit off the dribble, but not like a great athlete, but can kind of shoot. But his shot's falling off. He's 35% from three
mm-hmm.
and 41% from the field.
Yeah. Yep.
Has he fallen out of the rotation a little bit? Yeah, the last two games, 14 and 11 minutes played for Will Riley. And at the start of the year, he was playing like 24 to 30 minutes a game. So he might be falling out of the rotation. He might have to go back to school. He might have to stay another year.
Desmond, stop, man, bro. Era, what was the spread on the Kings game? Or do you know, Tori?
Is Heat by 5? Or no, Kings by 5, I think. That might be wrong. Don't take my word for it.
Or was it 3?
Just 5 or 3. I don't know. It's in the third quarter, so we don't got to worry about that right now. But, yeah, so Will Riley might have to go back to school. He's fallen out of the rotation there in Illinois.
Yeah, that's someone who could drop, but yeah, didn't know.
Yeah.
Didn't really have someone I wanted to put higher right now.
Yeah. All right, we can move on. That tier kind of, we've talked about those guys a bit.
Yeah.
Pretty well-known players there. Give me your 21 through 25.
All right, I got Ivisic at 21. I have Andrei Stojakovic at 22. Colin Knippel at 23. Liam McNeely, 24. Tyrese Proctor, 25.
Gotcha. I'm just going to say this now. I think McNeely is going to be the guy that
Rises
is
up.
too low on your big board after a couple years. I just feel like that's going to be the guy. And maybe for me too. But my 21 through 25 is Will Riley 21, Adu Thero at 22, Stojakovic at 23, Xavier Lee at 24, Hunter Salas at 25.
All right. Yeah, well, let me just say then that I have.
We can go through 30 and then talk about some of these players if it makes more sense. All right. So I'll just keep going with mine because I just said it. 26, I have Danny Wolf. 27, I have Ben Serif. 28, I have Rasheer Fleming. 29, I have Isaiah Evans. 30, I have Joe Sonson on.
All right. So 26, I have Thomas Sorber. 27, Xavier Lee. 28, I have Ian Jackson making an appearance on here.
Finally watched some North Carolina, huh?
Well, I've been watching him. He just played a lot better lately. Yeah. 29, Isaiah Evans. 30, Hunter Salas. And then let me just say 31 is Rasheer Fleming. So he's made his way up onto my list. You know, a big forward who can shoot the ball. I'm starting to like him a lot.
Decent athlete, plays.
Yeah.
Should be a good defender. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then I just want to mention this real quick. I really like John Mobley too, 32. And then Danny Wolf, 33. So.
John Mobley. I haven't watched enough of him. I just know he's listed at 6'1". So
he's short,
5'11".
but he's shooting the lights out. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. He feels like freshman Mark Searsy in a way. Undersized, just shoots.
Yeah.
Shoots the lights out. So let's talk about. So I have by the way, I have Neek Clifford 31, Zakarski 32, Max Shulga 33. I finally sat down and watched some of his tape, and because somebody else put me onto him, and I bought what they were saying, and I watched some of his tape. I think he'll be a good role player. I think he's too slept on. Then my guy Jameer Watkins at 34, and then things start to get blurry. But let's just start with Stojakovic. I'm with you with where he should be ranked. In NBA genes too, some guys tend to work out pretty well. I mean, he's 6'7" sophomore, averaging 20 a game, shooting 37% from three, and has some craft to his game.
He improved his off the dribble stuff this year a lot. So
like the off the dribble, like some of the crafty stuff he does off the dribble with the 3-point shooting is intriguing. Xavier Lee just that's just a shot on this dude is just super shifty, and if that translates to the league, like he sees the game quickly, you know what I mean? So where'd you have him?
Like 26 or 27.
Yeah,
right.
it's kind of funny because we're starting to really agree with like sleepers in this range.
Mm-hmm.
Like more so than normal, I feel like, and that's funny. Is I like put Rasheer Fleming on my board, and then you're like, "Yeah, me
I know,
too."
yeah.
It feels like that way with a lot of guys right now. So, we even had Isaiah Evans, 29, right? You had him at 29 too. I think.
Yep.
Yeah, so we each have him at 29. Sanon's like the one guy we disagree with, and then have you just not watched Phylon enough to rank him, or?
Um, I just I don't know. Like I don't know. I have him in my 30s, so it's not like he's that far off from being mentioned, but um I don't know, like maybe it's just a little bit of bias because those other guys have been higher on draft boards than him.
Yeah.
I just haven't been overly impressed based on the shooting. I have a little bit more concern than you do, maybe, but
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I just like
You make a good point though earlier.
oh with comparing him or
Yeah, like
yeah
his numbers are almost identical to.
yeah yeah
Yeah,
I just feel like they have like those two guys have to be closer than what consensus has them as.
yeah. Who was that? There was like two players like last year, or the year before that people were saying that. And
Um, maybe Chat can remember. There's always like a couple guys that are similar that is interesting to compare.
it was like some YouTube video like these guys should be closer than they are, and I forget who it was, but it was
Yeah.
someone like in the top 5 versus someone that was like 20th or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember something along those lines, but I don't remember who it was. So maybe Chat can spur our memory there. But yeah, and then like we also disagree on Ben Seraph. I watched some more of his tape. I just don't see it. I just see somebody he's shooting like what 28% from three, not really a plus athlete. Let's say 6'6". He's probably more 6'4", 6'5". Like the off the dribble.
He looked close to legit when 6'6" when he played the Blazers.
Yeah, I mean we'll see what he measures. I just don't really know what his role is like in a guard that isn't a positive athlete or shooter right now. Like has to really impress me with like their off the dribble or passing stuff, and I just don't think he's at that level with that stuff. So that's why I'm lower on him.
Yeah.
I know like feel for the game is something that people rave about with him. Yeah, like if he can shoot, that's a different story, and it's just the tough part about like how do we rank these guys shooting? Because you'll get guys that come into the league, they're 28%, and all of a sudden they're a good 3-point shooter in the NBA. Like LaMelo Ball was one of those guys, right? You got some guys that can shoot in college, Jabari Walker, Chris Murray, and they come into the league and they can't shoot anymore, right? Well, Chris Murray shot well today, so congrats to him. But it's always the tough thing because like Maxey I liked more than consensus. He shot 30% in college, but I was like, I just feel like he's going to be a better shooter. Like, his form just seems like good. I just have a feeling he's going to end up being a better 3-point shooter than he showed in college. And I was right, but there's guys that I've said that about before that have been wrong. It's like, how do you even predict that? And especially with how big shooting is in today's game, like, it's impossible. Unless you have somebody that you know is, like, a good shooter. Or is a bad shooter. But it's like Zach Edey coming to the league now, he's like hitting threes, man. It's just so impossible. So
Yeah.
that's the difficult thing, guys. So
That's why no one is ever perfect when it comes to the draft. We all have huge misses and huge hits and stuff like that, right?
yeah.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, I'll try and get into. I think we did to 40 last stream, and we did it to 30 today. But I'll try for the next big board stream. I'll try and maybe get it to 50.
I need to do a better job with digging into some of the international guys. Not that there's a ton this year. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of the ones we mentioned, but
Yeah, those are always tough. And then, yeah, like check out a Max Shulga. We can always put each other onto names and guys to pay attention to, because that's the thing this time of year is like past 40, it could be so many different guys depending on who plays well the rest of the year. So it's tough to know. The next big board stream will be January 30th, so we have some time. We have 3.5 weeks until then, and that'll be like a week before the trade deadline. So we have a ton of time to scout and figure all that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting closer to March Madness, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Can't believe it's January already. Jeez.
Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule and wrap up the stream. So this is the Blazers' schedule. The Blazers lose tonight. They got 2 more road games on their 5-game road trip, and then they come home for a 5-game homestand. So you got New Orleans on Wednesday. If the Blazers are going to start tanking, this would be a great game to lose. I shouldn't even put that caveat. They're going to tank at the end of the year, so this would be a great game to lose, technically. If you beat New Orleans, do you even feel good about it?
I mean, at one point in the season, we're half our wins against New Orleans.
Yeah. So what, we trying to get back to that? I mean, if you lose to New Orleans, you're only 4.5 back of second. So, yeah, I'd take that. But we'll see. I mean, don't want the young players to play bad at the same time. And then you got Dallas, right? Dallas has been banged up, but that is on the road. You kind of expect the Blazers to lose that game. Then they come home, they play the Heat. And the Heat, maybe they trade Jimmy Butler by then. Maybe that's somebody's Heat debut. But obviously without Jimmy Butler, that team's not that good. And then you got the Nets. I don't know, Eric. Like, I could see this team going 3-1.
Yeah.
Which would just be the Blazers thing to do. After that, you got the Clippers, you got the Rockets, and then not on the schedule. After that, you got the Bulls, Heat again, Magic, who are banged up. We'll see if they have anybody back by then. Hornets. I don't know. Like, they could go win some games here in January.
Yeah, especially if they play like they've been playing.
Yeah. You got the Magic at the end of the month on the 30th as well. You got the Dame's return game, the Bucks. And then you start off February with Suns a couple times, Pacers, Kings. Like, the schedule gets tougher leading into the All-Star break. You end with Minnesota, Denver. And then after the All-Star break, I mean, you still got... It literally starts off after the All-Star break. Lakers, Hornets, Jazz, Wizards, Nets. And then that's the end of February. So January and February are honestly pretty easy schedules.
Well, it gives you the opportunity to win, but it also gives you the opportunity to catch them in the tank standings.
Yeah. So it's funny because, March is when tank season really begins, but March, the schedule is insanely tough. January and February is actually going to be more important for the tank. So if the Blazers are actually going to start tanking, I mean, it's not too early, I guess, to sit, some of your veterans some more. The thing is, the Blazers, that doesn't really help them lose. So I don't really know what you do to ethically tank without messing with the development of young players.
Yeah.
Because in March, it's all teams that, they're not going to be battling for lottery odds. This is March schedule, okay? Cavaliers, 76ers, Celtics, Thunder, Pistons, Warriors, Knicks. Then you got a couple games. You got Raptors and Wizards. But then after that, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Celtics, Cavaliers, Kings, Knicks. That's March. So
pretty easy.
Yeah, so easy, man.
14-2 or whatever. I don't know how many games that was.
Yeah, I think it was 16. And then
on our way to the play-in by that point.
Yeah, I mean, that month is the month from hell or heaven if you want to lose. I mean, you got the Cavs twice, the Celtics twice, the Thunder.
People are saying Zion might play Wednesday. That would help a lot.
Yeah, hell yeah. We need luck. So, I don't know. I don't want to fully embrace the tank just yet, but I mean, it is what it is. I would like to have better draft lottery odds.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, yeah, we'll be live again on Wednesday with that post-game show. Hopefully you can join us. Early start times, man. A couple more of them. Thursday, we'll have 2 streams. We'll have Picks Against the Spread on our second channel, Blazers Uprise podcast. We'll try and talk more about trades on the next stream. Okay? And then Thursday, I don't know it might be Eric running that stream. It might be me. I don't know. We both have things that we'll be dealing with, so it might be a little bit late. But we'll have the stream earlier in the day, Picks Against the Spread, on our second channel, so make sure you go click that link in the description. And then we come home and have a bunch of 7 p.m. tip-off times for that homestand next week. Anything else for this post-game show, Eric?
Tori, great big board. It's always fun to discuss that. Mm-hmm. And this game, despite blowing a 22-point lead, was fun. Simons and Sharpe both played well. And, so good game overall. Happy that you all joined us for the post-game show. Thanks for watching, and have a good evening.
Yeah, Sharpe, man, almost got a triple-double. His passing, playmaking was really impressive tonight. I feel like maybe I didn't touch enough upon that in the middle of my Chauncey Billups minutes rant. But, yeah, I mean, he had another good game, and it's just going to be interesting to see how consistent he can get at this level, and hopefully doesn't get too fatigued playing 43 minutes tonight. Anyway, thank you guys for watching the post-game show. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the show. We are out of here. We'll catch you again on Wednesday. We got a bunch of games coming up, so a bunch of streams for you guys. Hopefully you're enjoying them. Hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you're new, and until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!